Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. And we have been having special guests about three a week, and it's just been a great experience and had some great comments. And I want to just keep the variety of special guests going. I've got a special guest that's all the way, well, he's not there during the time of this taping, but he's all the way in Guatemala, and friends of ours from yesteryear, many years ago, his lovely wife, Charlene. We have with us Les Melton. Welcome, Les, and welcome to Morning Moments.
Thank you. So good to be able to be here and to share with you a little bit about our part of the world.
Good. You've been in Guatemala for quite a while, haven't you?
Yes. A little over 34 years.
My goodness. And it sounds like that's the place God has for you, right?
Yeah, we're just going to stay there. We don't want to come back to the States. You have to stop for stop signs here.
Yeah. Now, well, at the time of this taping, you're actually in Michigan, so it's a little cooler there in Michigan than it is in Guatemala, right?
Yes, we got it deep in our bones to quickly get back to Guatemala.
Yeah.
Even though I was born and raised here, I can't stand the cold anymore.
Yeah. So your wife and you have got some great ministry, been going many years, a children's home and Bible school. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Well, from the time that we first went, we just felt strong in our heart that God wanted us to start and staff and, get it up and running at Bible colleges, and specifically for the task of training and training pastors for the task of reaching and discipling the lost. Because, we learned the language and became fluent in the language. We were able to preach, and people would come and get saved, but we could only be one place at a time. And if we could multiply that and follow God's command to go into all nations and make disciples there, then we could, a lot more people could be reached. And so we began years ago when we lived in Honduras and started a Bible college there and built that both physically as well as the staffing of it and the graduates of it from the ground up, and was a wonderful experience. And we saw over 60 churches start directly out of the Bible Institute just in Honduras. And then later on, we began working in neighboring countries also. And we built a Bible college in the country of Nicaragua also. That was the first thing that we did there. And we were just working in Nicaragua temporarily until other missionaries could be found. Well, that temporarily ended up being about 15 years long. But in that time, we were able to build and establish a Bible college, and probably saw 45, 48 new churches that started directly out of the Bible Institute. And then just 7 years ago, we moved back to Guatemala, which was actually the place that we started from in the beginning as a training term to learn the language and the operation of the mission. And we'll be going back to Guatemala in just a few days. The 24th of February, we'll return back to Guatemala. And I know some of you will be seeing this later than what we're talking about today. But we're going to begin Bible College number 4 in the country of Guatemala. And we're just all excited about it. And the Lord, just every step of the way, sometimes, the Lord has to give you a push in the right direction. And just before we came out, just 2 days before we came out for this itineration cycle, a guy that was actually a graduate of our Bible college in Guatemala City called us and said he wanted to donate property if I would promise him to build a Bible college on it. And so, well, to make a promise like that, that's a lot of money to build a Bible college,
Yes.
And 2 days before we come home. And so I went down to meet with him and see the property, and went with some of our pastors there in Guatemala. And at the end of the day, I made the promise because he was donating property. He said, I'll pay for hooking up the electric, the water, the sewer. He said, you got to build a wall around anything that you build down here. You build the wall before you build any buildings. And he said, I will build 3/4 of the wall. So I'll build 3 sides of it. You build 1 side of it. And I said, man, if he was willing to make that commitment, who am I to stand back and not make that commitment also? So now we have a Bible college in the city. We have a Bible college in the jungle. We have a Bible college in the tribal area. And now we're going to have one in the coastal area of Guatemala. each one of those are distinct cultures. And so the training is distinct for the pastors. But again, it's multiplication. So, you know, those of us that are been around the ministry a long time and can build and can staff it and teach young people that God has a call of God upon their lives, and that's what we'll do. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, and although some of you that's watching this may never go to Guatemala and you may never be involved, you can be involved either through support of prayer or through support of finances as well. You could still be involved in this ministry. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And the most important is always prayer. And
yes.
If you really pray good, then you can hear God speaking to you to give also.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've often said if God has your heart, he's got your wallet. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
we can go out. So when these young people, you know, I used to pray the prayer. I used to say, God, call people into the ministry. And I thought, who am I? Later on, I came to realize, who am I to tell God what to do? God is already calling them.
Yeah.
So my prayer changed, and my message said, Lord, help all of us to listen to your voice. Yeah. You know, to be tuned into your voice. We tune into our smartphone so much that we can distinct messages and who sent us that message from across the room. What about God? Isn't God a lot bigger and a lot more powerful than a dumb smartphone?
Yes. You know, Les, there's something I say quite often in morning moments. God knows your heart. It's up to us to hear his voice. And once we hear God's voice, and if we're listening to it, he will then give us instructions, because he doesn't want to keep his will away from us.
Right. And I think the story of Isaiah, you know, where he said, here am I, Lord, send me. He heard the voice of God and he responded in the correct way. And that should be our example. That should be our goal, that we can also respond that way.
Here's what I want folks to do. As you're listening to this interview, I don't want it to be just another interview. I want you to look at this and say, you know, I know that there are people that need to hear this message. And I would encourage you, especially if you've been involved in supporting Les and his lovely wife, Charlene, through the years, share it on your site so people can see this. And there's a lot of people that's listening to this today on Facebook that know Les and Charlene. Share this interview on your site, and then look down below here. I have a YouTube connection of the interview we're doing right now. Share that as well, either the Facebook page or the YouTube. And Les and his lovely wife has got some connections in Facebook. In the pages down below in the comment section, get a hold of them, message them, let them know you're praying for them. And if God speaks to your heart about supporting them, support them. They'll tell you how to get money to them, I'll tell you. And let's just lift them up in prayer so that God can reach people not only in the city that you're at, your neighbors next door to you, but halfway around the world in Guatemala and other places.
Amen. Amen. And sometimes, you know, as missionaries, sometimes we just wonder, God opens the door for us to do something, and how is that possibly going to happen? Because sometimes I can't see past the end of my checkbook.
Yes.
And yet my God has always been on the other side of the checkbook.
Absolutely.
He has always done absolute miracles for every time that we've started a Bible college, and now we've done several in Central America. And God has always been there, you know, and has always paved the road. I just couldn't see it, you know, because my checkbook was blocking me. The balance in my checkbook was blocking me from seeing it. Absolutely.
Les, I want to thank you for being my guest today, and may God richly bless you and your wife, and safe journeys as you travel and you go different places for him. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today again on Morning Moments, and may God richly bless you. Thank you, Les.
Amen. Thank you.